Incredible millionaire discovers Maid's humiliation and explodes with heartwarming transformation. Ethan Kingston stood by his window, the morning sun filtering through the sheer drapes of his luxurious home, casting a warm glow on the polished marble floors. He was everything a self-made millionaire should be, sharp in a tailored suit, confident as he checked his phone for updates on the charity gala he was to host that evening. The neighborhood glimmered outside, with manicured lawns boasting grand houses, all echoing the whispers of wealth. But little did Ethan know, just across the street, life beneath the sheen was unfolding, ripe with struggles concealed behind closed doors. Maria, a devoted single mother, balanced herself on the edge of resilience as she heaved bags of groceries out of her worn-down sedan. The early chill bit at her cheeks, yet she didn't feel it. All that registered was the weight of responsibility on her shoulders: 2 kids to feed, bills to pay, dreams that felt like distant stars. She stumbled, grace escaping her as items tumbled from her grasp. Canned beans, a loaf of bread, some apples, a week's worth of meals sprawled across the ground, glistening in the light like a spotlight illuminating her reality. Ethan watched, an unfamiliar tightness settling in his chest as he turned away, fidgeting with his cufflinks. Why did it bother him? There was nothing stopping her from bouncing back from this slip, right? But as the lingering thought danced in his mind, he found that he couldn't look away. That moment, the way she knelt, the way her eyes brimmed with both helplessness and determination, stirred something inside him. Why hadn't he noticed her before? Not just her, but the life behind that facade of servitude? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Determined to help, Ethan dove into brainstorming ideas, rallying fellow wealthy friends for a high-profile charity. They raised funds but didn't understand. Maria watched from a distance, a shy smile hiding her discomfort. At their first troubling dialogue, misunderstandings flew across the air like sharp arrows. Maria resisted his charity, and for Ethan, the walls began to rise. Each encounter was like piecing together a puzzle of human experience, revealing cracks in his perception of what it meant to give. Conversations turned into glimpses. A Sunday afternoon at her home unveiled laughter amidst the chaos of toys and household chores. Eating noodles around a small table, he felt the warmth of genuine belonging. Ethan felt that they were worlds apart yet all too connected, 2 parents fighting societal claws in different arenas, her love for her children transcending every obstacle in their way. The rally he planned was close, a call for justice echoing within him, but it would not come without risks. Facing backlash from his affluent peers left him splintered between loyalty and compassion. But in that chaos, Maria's eyes, both filled with hope and apprehension, haunted him. Would she believe that he could be an ally? As he stood at this crossroad, uncertainty knotted his gut, weaving their fates tighter. Could he break free from the chains of privilege to become the man he aspired to be? As the day of the rally loomed, a question hung heavy in the air: would he find the courage to fight for true change? The anticipation crackled like electricity, igniting a lingering spark within both their worlds, ready to unfold. Ethan stood at the entrance of the grand hall, the night of the charity gala finally upon him. The light sparkled like stars in the dimly lit space, where affluent guests mingled, clinking their glasses and laughing without a care in the world. He held his breath, adjusting his tie, the excitement mingling with a weighty dread. This event was not just another networking opportunity, it was the turning point he had envisioned. Yet, with every passing moment, Maria's face kept popping into his mind, her shy smile wrapped in layers of uncertainty. His phone buzzed, snapping him to attention. A message from Jasper, his old college friend and a staunch supporter of all things luxury, flickered across the screen, ready to dazzle them. Ethan? Let's make some big donations. Ethan hesitated, fingers hovering over the keyboard. What if that's all it was? A superficial show of generosity that wouldn't create real change? He remembered her grocery bags strewn across the pavement, a somber reminder of the struggles many faced, including Maria. Setting the phone down, Ethan made his way to the stage. As he stepped into the spotlight, a hush fell over the crowd. His heart pounded, a staccato rhythm that underscored the pressure building within him. He scanned the room, taking in the gleaming faces and extravagant dresses. They were there to give, but would they understand the impact of their contributions? "Good evening, everyone," he began, swallowing the nervous lump in his throat. "Tonight is more than just a gala, it's a chance for us to make a real difference in our community. I want to talk to you about the people we often overlook." Silence enveloped him, their eyes focused. As he spoke, images of Maria and her children filled his mind. He described their struggles, how people like them braved day-to-day life with unwavering strength. "I want to challenge you. Let us not just throw money, let us create lasting change. Let us support programs that truly lift families like Maria's." The murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some exchanged incredulous glances, while others seemed deep in thought. Ethan's heart raced. Was he losing them? He pressed onward, his voice growing stronger, fueled by conviction. Meanwhile, Maria was at home, anxiously preparing her kids for bed. She had turned down Ethan's invitation to the gala, feeling out of place, like a puzzle piece nagging at her. Self-doubt gnawed at her. How could she possibly fit into that world of wealth and glamour? But somewhere deep inside, a flicker of hope sparked. If Ethan truly wanted to help, maybe it was time to let someone in. Back at the gala, Ethan concluded his speech, feeling drained but satisfied. "Together, let us rally around these families. Let us fight for a future where no child has to worry about their next meal." The applause started slowly but picked up momentum, and with it, Ethan dared to imagine the connection he yearned for, bridging the distance between their lives, creating a community defined by kindness. Just as he stepped off the stage, Ethan noticed a familiar figure at the back of the hall. Maria. She stood there, awe mixed with fear dancing across her face, a living embodiment of the very spirit he had just called to action. Their eyes locked, and time slowed. Would she step forward? The answer hung in the air, thick with possibility. Would she embrace the journey? Or retreat back to the shadows? As he took a step toward her, destiny seemed to spark anew. Was this the moment when everything would change? The answer felt tantalizingly close, waiting to ignite. Ethan took a tentative step towards Maria. He could see the flicker of doubt in her eyes, the way her breath hitched as she glanced around the room, as if wishing to vanish into the expensive fabrics and polished floors. But he couldn't let her disappear. "Maria!" he called, a mix of hope and urgency driving his voice. The crowd faded into the background, the laughter and cheers muted as he focused on her. She hesitated, her feet rooted. I shouldn't be here," she stammered, her gaze darting away. "This isn't my world." "It's your world too," he insisted, urging her with a gentle sincerity. "You belong here. You matter." Holding his breath, he watched as the room around them buzzed with self-importance and shallow conversations. Yet, in this moment, it felt like just the two of them existed. With each heartbeat, Ethan could see her internal struggle playing out, an invisible battle against the walls she'd built around herself. Maria took a cautious step forward, her trust wavering like a candle flame in the wind. "What do you want from me, Ethan?" she asked quietly, vulnerability etched into her features. "I want you to help me make that change I spoke about tonight," he said, taking another step, closing the distance. "Your story, your strength, it's what we need. You inspire me. Together, we can do something real." The sincerity in his voice hung in the air, slowly seeping into the chasm of her insecurities. She looked up into his eyes, and for a moment he believed he saw a hint of belief flicker back. "I don't know how," Maria murmured, her voice barely rising above a whisper. I'll show you, he replied, the conviction steadying his voice. Let us start by sharing your story. It's powerful, Maria. You have a voice, and it deserves to be heard. The applause from the gala faded as Maria stood there, the crowd oblivious to the connection brewing before them. She took a deep breath, weighing the odds. If she stepped forward, could she ever escape the judgment lurking behind the glittering smiles? And then, in a moment of daring, she stepped closer. Okay, she said, her voice shaking but resolute. But what if I fail? Ethan's heart lifted at her willingness to try. Then we learn together. There's no failing when we're fighting for something that matters. Relief washed over her features as the tension began to melt away. Compelled by a strange mix of excitement and fear, Maria nodded, the smallest smile peeking through. Just then, an unexpected interruption came in the form of Jasper, who approached, clapping his hands. What's the hold-up? We're about to talk serious money here. His tone was jovial, but the way he glanced between Ethan and Maria implied a hidden layer of judgment. Ethan felt a flash of annoyance but kept his focus steady. We're discussing how to amplify the impact of our donations, Jasper. Do you mind? Of course not. Just want to make sure the gala is living up to its reputation. He shot back, eyes darting curiously between them, ignoring Jasper's snide tone. Ethan turned back to Maria, whose earlier courage seemed to waver under the scrutiny of the outside world again. He couldn't have that. Listen to me, he said firmly, lowering his voice so only she could hear. Tonight is just the beginning. We'll show them the power of our solidarity. It starts with you. Maria glanced back at the guests, uncertainty creeping in once more. Yet something different flicked in her eyes now, a glimmer of resilience he hadn't seen before. All right, she finally breathed. Let us do this. But first, can I at least have one of those fancy drinks? Ethan chuckled, lightness invading the heavy air. Absolutely. But only if we can find a way to make this event matter for everyone. Smiling, they both began to walk toward the bar, ready to draft a new chapter together. But as they reached the bar, their plans were nearly derailed when Maria's phone buzzed in her pocket, revealing an ominous message that would change everything. Would it push her back into the shadows or deeper into the light? Maria's heart sank as she pulled out her phone and looked at the screen. The message was from her mother, filled with worry about an unpaid bill that was now overdue. Panic gripped her gut. The bright lights of the gala dimmed in comparison to the urgent reality crashing back. Ethan, I can't, she whispered, her voice barely above the clamor of the crowd. What is it? He asked, sensing her sudden shift in mood. He leaned closer, concern etched into his features. It's my mom. She's worried about money. I don't know how I can focus on tonight when there's so much more at stake. Maria's hands trembled slightly as she held her phone, the weight of the world resting on her shoulders. Ethan looked at her, the intensity of his gaze deep and unwavering. Maria, I get it. You have responsibilities. But you can't let fear hold you back. Look, what if we use your voice tonight to make a difference? To help others in situations like yours? She stared into his eyes, searching for an anchor against the swell of anxiety threatening to pull her under. But what if they don't listen? What if my story isn't enough? Your story is everything, he insisted. It's real, it's raw, and it's powerful. They need to hear it. The commotion around them felt distant, and for the first time, Maria could see a spark of determination in Ethan's eyes. With each heartbeat, she felt a sense of purpose rising within her, challenging the darkness that always loomed at the edge of her dreams. Okay, she finally exhaled, feeling the warmth of courage creeping back. I'll do it. Great. Ethan grinned, the lightness of his smile shaking off the tension in the air. Let us get you that drink, and then we'll figure out your story together. As they stood at the bar, Maria took in the extravagant surroundings. The lavish decorations, the sparkling chandeliers that cast a soft glow over everything, and the laughter of the crowd felt surreal against her pressing concerns. But right now, she had Ethan by her side, and he seemed to believe in her even when she didn't believe in herself. After placing their orders, Maria turned her head slightly, catching sight of Jasper across the room, whispering and pointing in their direction with a smug smile on his face. The reminder of judgment only ignited her fire. "I'm not letting him get to me," she muttered under her breath. Ethan's hand brushed against hers, grounding her. "Focus on us. Our mission." As they turned back to the bar, Maria couldn't shake the unease tightening in her chest. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again. Another message popped up. "Maria. You need to come home. We can't wait any longer." Her heart raced as she processed the urgency in her mother's words. "Ethan, I really can't ignore this." Ethan studied her, his brow furrowed, searching for a solution. "What if we take your story and turn it into something bigger than both of us? We could raise funds, get people involved. This could be the moment you step into the light." "But my family," she started, her mind a whirlpool of conflicting priorities and responsibilities. "Your voice matters, Maria. What if this is not just about changing your story, but changing lives?" At that moment, the crowd began to shift as the gala's host took the stage, tapping the microphone to gain attention. Maria instinctively looked back at Ethan, her anxiety bubbling again. Did she have what it took to share her truth with all these people? The host began to speak, bringing forward a glimmer of hope. "Tonight, we're not just raising funds. We're raising voices. It's about time we listen to everyone, especially those who feel unheard." "Maybe this is it," Ethan said softly, squeezing her hand reassuringly. "Are you ready?" Insecurities still danced in her mind, yet the courage kindled in her heart ignited a fire she couldn't ignore. This was her moment, or was it? As the host called for the first speaker, Maria's pulse quickened. Would she be able to take that leap, or was she destined to remain in the shadows of others' voices? The decision loomed larger than ever. The words echoed across the room, a heartbeat away from changing everything. The microphone awaited her response, and with it, a journey that could forever alter her world. What destiny awaited her on that stage? Maria felt her heart pounding in her chest. The host's voice faded into the background as the crowd murmured, their expectant gazes settling on her. Each second felt like a lifetime. There she stood, amidst the glamour and glitz, but she felt anything but sparkling. Panic clawed at her, making the path to the microphone seem impossibly far. Ethan's hand was still in hers, warm and steady, anchoring her in the chaos. "You've got this," he whispered, his eyes filled with an unwavering belief. But doubts crept in once more. What if they didn't care? What if she stumbled over her words, or worse, what if Jasper started to laugh? The thought sent a shiver down her spine. She took a deep breath, shaking her head as if to clear it. This wasn't just about her, this was about so many who felt trapped. She felt the fire of determination reignite inside her. As the host leaned closer to the microphone, she heard the name of the next speaker called out. Maria. Her name hung in the air, clear and undeniable. This was the moment. The moment that could break her free from the chains of fear. With an unexpected burst of courage, Maria stepped forward. The crowd parted, and as she approached the stage, she felt their eyes boring into her. She could hear her breath echoing in her ears, but she knew she had to keep moving. The microphone stood tall and imposing, yet it suddenly felt like a beacon, a lifeline waiting to be grabbed. She reached for it, her fingers trembling slightly, and felt an electric surge of energy course through her body. "Hi, everyone," she started, her voice soft but steady. "I'm Maria." She paused, taking another breath. The spotlight was glowing a little too brightly, but behind it was her mother's worry, the late-night talks about bills, and the feeling of being stuck in a cycle that seemed never-ending. "I'm here tonight not just for me, but for so many like me, people who feel like their voices don't matter." A murmur of understanding broke out in the crowd. She glanced at Ethan, who gave her an encouraging nod. That small gesture lifted her spirit, and she pressed on. I've had a rough year. My family is struggling. Every day feels like a battle, and sometimes it all feels too heavy to carry. Tears pricked at her eyes, but she fought them back, channeling the pain into strength. But I've realized that sharing our stories, our struggles, can spark change. If my voice can help someone else feel less alone, then it's worth it. As the room absorbed her words, she could see colors shift. The snickers from Jasper had melted into nods of sympathy, and wide eyes filled with empathy turned toward her. I could stay silent, hide in the shadows, but instead, I choose to fight. I choose to stand up and say, enough. We are worthy, we matter, and together, we can rise. A wave of warmth washed over her as the crowd erupted into applause. Each clap felt like an embrace, a confirmation that she was not alone. And then she saw it. Jasper's smile twisted into a frown, his bravado crumbling. Something ignited in her, a wild surge of joy mixed with a hint of triumph. But as she surveyed the audience, searching for faces of support, her eyes landed on her mother's empty chair in the back. A pang of guilt hit her all at once. She had come to prove her worth, to show the world she could shine, but what about her family? The weight of her responsibilities pressed down once again, and the realization dawned, she was still tethered to the reality that awaited her outside this room. Thank you, she concluded, her voice breaking just slightly. Let us make sure no one else feels small in a world that often overlooks the quiet ones. As the applause thundered around the room, she stepped back, suddenly lightheaded from the rush of emotions. She had done it. She had stepped into the light, but now, uncertainty loomed large, waiting just beyond the doors of this gala. What would happen next? Could her words really spark a movement? And would her mother understand her choice? The answer awaited her somewhere in the shadows of her reality. Maria stood there, absorbing the thunderous applause, but the elation began to fade as reality crept back in. All she could think about was her mother. Her heart sank further as she searched the crowd again, her stomach knotting at the thought of what her mom must be feeling. She had wanted to make her proud, to show her that with courage, they could rise above their struggles. But had she? Ethan stepped onto the stage beside her, his eyes beaming with pride. You were amazing, Maria. He exclaimed, his voice warm and encouraging. You really got through to them. Did I? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. She didn't feel amazing, she felt hollow, a piece of her joy slipping away with every passing moment. What about my mom? I wanted her to be here. Ethan's expression shifted slightly, the bright spark dimming just enough for her to notice. She'll understand. You opened hearts tonight. That's what matters. But would it matter to her mother? Would the harsh realities of life erase any pride or comfort she might have felt from Maria's speech? The uncertainty gnawed at her, mixing with the leftover adrenaline pumping through her veins. Look, Ethan said gently, you have to go find her. You need to make sure she knows how much you care. You're doing this for you and her, too, remember? In that moment, she felt the tension inside her ease. Ethan's belief in her filled the cracks of her uncertainty. She squeezed his hand, her heart racing once more. You're right. I can't hide from her. We can face our fears together. With that, she stepped down from the stage, the applause fading into whispers as she navigated back to the crowd. She locked eyes with a few people who had been moved by her words. She saw emotion flickering, acceptance forming on faces once furrowed with indifference or disdain. Yet this wasn't her victory alone. Her mother needed to hear from her, to know that she was still fighting for them both. As she searched the audience, the realization hit her hard: her mother wasn't there. Panic surged through her. Where could she be? She rushed down the hall, the soft chatter from the gala buzzing behind her. With each step, doubts began to flood her mind. What if she was upset? What if she felt humiliated for not supporting Maria? What if she didn't understand? Maria pushed through the large doors that led outside, the evening air cool against her flushed cheeks. She scanned the parking lot, spotting a figure slumped against the family car. Her heart sank again as recognition hit. "Mom!" she called, rushing toward her. Her mother looked up, her expression a mix of worry and relief. "I'm sorry, Maria. I couldn't bear to watch. I thought I'd be too much of a distraction." Maria stopped in front of her, her chest tightening as she reached for her mother's hands. "Mom, please don't say that. I needed you there, it was for you too." Tears glistened in her mother's eyes, the strain of their recent struggles weighing down on her every time Maria opened her mouth to speak. "I just wanted to protect you." "I didn't think protect me?" Maria interrupted, her voice rising a bit. "I want to fight with you, not away from you. You've been my strength, and now I want you to be proud of us." Her mother's expression melted in response, the warmth of Maria's words beginning to piece together the worries that had clouded their bond. They hugged tightly, an embrace that felt like both a release and a promise. As they broke apart, Maria took a deep breath, resolve flooding through her once more. "We can't stay silent anymore. You're right there with me in this fight." Her mother nodded, wiping tears from her cheeks. "Just promise me you won't lose your light, even when it feels hard." But what if before Maria could finish her sentence, her phone buzzed in her pocket. The screen lit up, a message from Ethan that read, "They want to hear more from you. This is just the beginning." Her heart raced at what that could mean. What would it take to transform this moment into something greater? What if this is just the start? Maria asked her mother, excitement bubbling beneath her skin. But as they stood there together, a new wave of questions washed over her. Could they really change the world? What happens when you have to face the fear of stepping out into the unknown once more, when so much is at stake? She looked back at the gala behind her, feeling the heaviness of what lay ahead. But this time, she knew they would tackle it side by side. If only she could find the courage to embrace the unknown. Maria's thoughts swirled with possibilities, each one brighter than the last, but just as fleeting. She could almost feel the weight of the world resting on her shoulders. The gala buzzed behind her, filled with sounds of celebration, but here, in the darkness of the parking lot, it was just her and her mother, two warriors preparing to face a battlefield of emotions together. "Mom," Maria started, searching for the right words, "what if we put our story out there? What if we share everything we've been through? Maybe we can inspire others who feel lost or unheard." Her mother's eyes widened, uncertainty flickering in their depths. "You're talking about more than just a speech, Maria. You'd be putting our lives on display. It's exposing." The concern in her voice was palpable, but so was the glimmer of pride. "Exposing, yes," Maria replied, stepping closer, "but it's also powerful. Look at the applause tonight. Look at the way it felt when I spoke. That was real connection. People want to hear our story. They need to. But what if they don't?" Her mother's voice trembled, fear creeping in again. "What if they ridicule us instead of lifting us up?" Maria squeezed her mother's hand tighter, determination surging within her. "They might, but we can't let fear hold us back. If we stay silent, that's when we truly lose. I'm not just doing this for me, I'm doing it for us." For a moment, silence blanketed them, both of them lost within the web of their shared history, the hardships they've weathered, and the love that held them together. Finally, her mom nodded but barely spoke, as though the words were stuck in her throat. "Let us practice the speech together," Maria suggested, eyes sparkling with excitement. "We can share our fears but also our dreams. We'll show people that vulnerability doesn't mean weakness." A small smile crept onto her mother's face, and it lit up Maria's heart like the dawn breaking through a dark night. "Okay, let us do it," she said softly. "But you start. I want to hear your heart." Maria took a deep breath, her voice steady but filled with the tremor of emotions. Tonight I stood on that stage not just for myself, but for everyone who feels like their words don't matter. There are moments when we feel like we're drowning, moments when it seems like giving up is the only choice. Her mother watched her, eyes glued to every slight quiver of resolve. But together, we're stronger. Together, we can share our struggles, and maybe someone out there will find the courage to keep fighting. Each word felt like a step further from doubt, yet closer to their potential impact. Maria's heart raced as she thought about the people they might touch, the lives they could change, and the unbreakable bond growing between her and her mother. As she finished her thoughts, they shared a smile that felt like a promise forged in that moment. It was the start of something bigger, a venture into unknown territory, but something deep inside told her this was right. Just then, her phone buzzed again, a new message glowing on the screen. "Can you be here tomorrow? The event organizers want you both to share your story live." Maria's heart dropped, her excitement mingling with fear. What if they were not ready? What if facing the crowd wasn't as straightforward as it seemed? But looking into her mother's eyes, she felt the resolve stirring again. They would face it together, whatever the outcome. "Are you ready?" Maria asked, her voice trembling with hope and trepidation. Her mother took a deep breath, the resolve reflecting back at her. I think we can do this." As they walked back to the gala, hand in hand, each step felt like stepping into a new chapter filled with potential and fear. They had chosen to rise above, to face whatever was to come, but as they reached the entrance, an unexpected thought crossed Maria's mind. What if speaking their truth opened doors to shadows they hadn't prepared to face? The unknown loomed like an impending storm. Would they really be ready for what lay just ahead? The next day arrived too quickly, the morning sun spilling into Maria's room like a spotlight on a stage. She lay awake, staring at the ceiling, her heart thundering in her chest. Today was the day they were finally going to share their story. Excitement battled with fear, throwing her stomach into a tangle of knots. "Maria?" Her mother's voice drifted from downstairs. "Are you ready? We need to leave soon." "I'll be down in a minute." Maria called back, trying to mask the quaver in her voice. She slipped out of bed and peered into the mirror. The reflection staring back at her was a mixture of nerves and determination. She brushed her hair back, taking a deep breath. Just like they practiced, she thought. Speak from the heart, and stay united. The drive to the venue felt surreal. Maria sat silently next to her mother, the weight of their shared purpose enveloping them. They exchanged glances, each that spoke volumes: encouragement, doubt, and hope. Once they arrived, the sight of the large crowd took Maria's breath away. Several people milled about, excited chatter creating a buzz that filled the air. But among the voices, she caught snippets of conversations that sent a chill through her. "Do you think they'll really have anything to say that matters?" a woman whispered to her friend. "I don't know, I hope it's not just another sob story," the friend replied, and Maria felt her heart sink. What if their message wasn't important? What if nobody cared? "Hey!" Her mother's hand rested gently on her arm, pulling her attention away from the crowd. "We've got this. Remember, it's about being real. Let them see who we are." Maria nodded, heart racing once more. As they took their places backstage, the event coordinator gave them a reassuring smile. "You'll do great." Maria stared at the shimmering stage, lights gleaming like stars. Everything felt larger than life, and she could sense the crowd's energy through the walls. Suddenly, a voice over the loudspeaker announced their names. "And now, please welcome Maria and her mother." The sound enveloped her as they walked out together, hand in hand. Maria blinked at the sea of faces, but instead of fear, a sense of purpose surged within her. She felt her mother's steady presence beside her, grounding her. "Thank you for having us," Maria began, her voice stronger than she felt. "We stand here today not just to share our struggles, but to find strength in community." They shared their story, each word woven through layers of honesty and vulnerability. Maria watched the crowd's expressions shift. Some nodded in understanding, others listened intently, with concern punctuating their features. It was surreal, standing there under the spotlight, ready to unveil parts of their life that had once been hidden. Her mother's voice joined hers as they spoke of resilience, of dreams that had risen from the ashes of adversity. As the speech progressed, Maria felt an unmistakable connection being forged in the room. She could see eyes glistening, tears forming, smiles appearing. For every whisper of doubt from earlier, there were waves of support and empathy flowing back at them. When they finished, applause erupted, washing over them like a warm embrace. Maria could hardly believe it. People were moved, touched, inspired. "Thank you," her mother said, turning to Maria, her face radiating pride. "I think we really did it." Maria beamed, the reality of their impact finally hitting her. They had reached hearts in ways they had never imagined. But as she looked into the crowd, she spotted a figure retreating from the corner of her eye. A woman in the back, her expression haunted. Maria's heart raced. What story was hidden behind that face? Before she could ponder further, the applause thundered again, pulling her attention back to the moment. But a new itch of curiosity settled in her mind. What if this was just the beginning? Could there be more stories longing to be told, connections waiting to be made? With every exhilaration of the applause, questions bubbled within her, urging to be explored further. Who else was in need of their voice? And suddenly, something unexpected shimmered ahead in the shadows. What if speaking their truth could shine light on others still trapped in demoralizing silence? Maria felt a spark ignite far greater than she had anticipated. Once the applause died down, Maria and her mother stepped off the stage, their hands still intertwined. They were a little shaky but filled with an intoxicating mixture of relief and joy. The thrill of connection sparked within Maria, igniting her desire to reach out further. "Did you see their faces?" Maria said, her voice animated with excitement. "It felt like, I don't know, like we really made a difference." Her mother smiled back, a tear glistening in the corner of her eye. "We did. Our story matters, Maria. We proved that today." As they walked past the crowd, Maria caught sight of the woman from before, still standing in the back. She seemed lost in thought, arms crossed tightly as if bracing against an invisible storm. There was something about her that tugged at Maria's heart, a silent plea echoing in the retreating crowd's chatter. "Mom, wait!" Maria called out, pulling her mother back. She needed to speak to her. The curiosity that had flared so brightly was now a steady flame, urging her onward. "Are you sure?" her mother asked, concern crossing her features. "Let's not overwhelm ourselves right now." But Maria felt an insistent tug in her spirit. "I have to. I want to help her." Taking a deep breath, she peeled away from her mother's side and moved through the throng of attendees. Every step resonated with purpose, each face she glimpsed a reminder of the very thing she stood for: connection. As she approached the woman, she felt her heart quicken, not out of fear but rather a sense of importance. "Excuse me?" Maria spoke, hesitating just for a moment. "Are you okay?" The woman looked up, eyes wide with surprise. I didn't expect anyone to notice me," she stammered, her voice thick. Maria offered a warm smile, each word deliberate and heartfelt. "I noticed you during our talk. I hope you know that you're not alone. If you want to share, I'm here." The woman hesitated, uncertainty flickering across her face. "What's the point? It doesn't matter. No one else cares about my pain. It's just too much." "But it does matter," Maria urged. "Every story matters. We can help each other. Please. Don't let your hurt stay buried like mine did for so long." Tears welled in the woman's eyes, the walls she had built now threatened by Maria's sincerity. "I've been struggling for so long. I'm not brave like you." A mix of empathy and urgency welled within Maria. Bravery doesn't always look like facing a crowd. It can be speaking out, even if it's just to one person. It's taking that first step. Silence filled the air between them as the woman took a deep breath, nodding slightly. I used to think sharing my story would help. But after a while, it felt pointless. I promise it's not, Maria replied, a soft determination in her tone. You can rebuild yourself through this. Just like my mom and I did. The woman's shoulders began to relax, tension slowly unwinding. You really think so? I know so, Maria affirmed with conviction. Just then, her mother appeared at the edge of their conversation, eyes wide with surprise and admiration. She could sense the connection forming between them, the small flame of hope igniting a larger fire. Everything all right? Her mother asked, taking in the scene. It will be, Maria replied confidently, her hand finding the woman's. We're just getting started. Maria's heart soared. She realized they could build a bridge of stories together. Their voices could conjoin, creating ripples of change. What if they could bring others into this? As the three of them stood there, a sense of possibility shimmered in the air, a realization washing over Maria. This was just the beginning of a much larger journey. What if they could create a space where every voice could be heard? A community that nurtured understanding and healing? The thought lingered warmly, sparking a deeper yearning inside her. And as she looked into the woman's eyes, she knew this was a moment she'd never forget, the beginning of something transformative that would ripple far beyond their own stories. What if their collective voices could echo even wider? What if they could inspire more change in a way that would reshape hearts? The possibility danced in the air, electrifying and vibrant. Maria felt ready to chase it down, to delve deeper into this adventure. And as she smiled at her mother and newfound friend, she knew this was only the first step. What awaited them next was still shrouded in mystery. The day had finally come when Maria and her mother stood before an eager crowd to share their story. They could feel the energy crackling in the air, a mix of anticipation and hope. Maria's heart fluttered, each thump echoing the fear and excitement that were bubbling within her. This was at the moment they'd been waiting for. They stood backstage, peering through the curtain at the sea of faces, some familiar, and others brand new. The event coordinator tossed them a reassuring smile, and for a split second, Maria felt a surge of confidence. Are you ready to change lives today? Her mother whispered, squeezing Maria's hand. Maria took a deep breath and nodded. Together. When their names were called, the two walked out hand in hand, feeling a grounding connection that made them feel less alone in the spotlight. The applause was thunderous, but it was the warmth of the gazes that anchored them. Once at the microphone, Maria looked across the audience, their expectant faces urging her on. Thank you for being here with us today, Maria began, her voice steadying as she found her rhythm. My name is Maria, and this is my mom. Together, we have a lot to share about our journey, our struggles, our fears, and what it means to finally find our voices. Every word seemed to resonate. As they spoke about the weight of responsibility, the moments of doubt, and the dreams they crafted from the ashes of hardship, Maria could see connections forming in the audience. Nodding heads, tear-filled eyes, and soft smiles stirred a flame of encouragement inside her. She was speaking not only for herself but for those who felt unseen. The two of them shared stories of late-night cries over unpaid bills, the fears of being judged for seeking help, and the incredible strength drawn from vulnerability. As they spoke, Maria could sense the crowd becoming invested in their story, clinging to each shared experience that echoed their own. When they finished, applause erupted like a wave crashing onto the shore. Maria beamed, a warmth enveloping her heart. She had truly connected with others. Her mother's eyes glimmered with tears of pride, and they shared a brief moment of disbelief. Did they actually touch lives out there? But just as they stepped off stage, Maria spotted a woman lingering at the back. She seemed lost in thought, shoulders hunched as if carrying an invisible weight. Maria's heart tugged. She needed to reach out. Mom, wait. She called gently, pulling away from the warmth of their previous victory. "Are you sure?" her mother asked, concern etched across her face. "Yes. I want to help her," Maria replied, urgency filling her voice. With purpose, Maria approached the woman. "Hey there," she began softly, "are you okay?" The woman blinked, startled. "I didn't think anyone would notice me," she murmured, a vulnerability spilling into the open. "You're not invisible," Maria responded, each word reinforced by the confidence now rising in her chest. "Our stories matter. Yours does too. Please, if you need someone to talk to, I'm here." The woman hesitated but began to open up about her struggles, how she felt trapped and unheard, just like Maria had once felt. Maria listened intently, the weight of her own past guiding her through this moment. "I used to think that silence would protect me, but it only made things harder," Maria shared, vulnerability pouring out of her as she encouraged the woman. "You don't have to carry this alone." Tears began to stream down the woman's face. "How did you find the courage?" she asked, her voice shaking. "I took the first step," Maria replied, determination sparking anew within her. "I chose to let my voice be heard. You can do the same." The woman slowly nodded, starting to find hope in Maria's words. Together, they shared a connection, two souls meeting amidst the chaos of their lives. Maria felt an overwhelming sense of purpose, as if they were creating something beautiful from their shared struggles. As Maria's mother approached, she wrapped an arm around them both, radiating support. "We're all in this together," she said warmly. "Find your strength." In that moment, Maria realized this was just the beginning. The seeds of connection they planted with one another could blossom into something greater. Her heart hummed with excitement as she imagined a community built on stories, sharing, and healing. As hours passed, Maria and her mother met with others who approached them, sharing their own tales. Each exchange deepened the bond of unity. They were no longer just a pair of voices but part of a chorus that echoed the importance of every story. Later that evening, as Maria and her mother walked hand in hand into the sunset, the world felt lighter. The shadows that once loomed large had transformed into stepping stones toward growth and connection. Looking up at her mother, with tears of joy in their eyes, Maria understood their journey was far from over, it had just begun. Together, they were ready to inspire change, one story at a time. "Let us keep sharing," Maria said, her voice brimming with excitement. "This can take us anywhere." Her mother smiled, her heart swelling with pride. "Yes. Together, we'll change the world." And that's precisely what they set out to do. If you found inspiration in Maria and her mother's journey, this is your moment to take action. Subscribe immediately to our channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, every click counts. Comment below your reactions and feelings about the ending. Your voice matters. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. They deserve to hear the power of their own stories.